Good morning, Beacon College, class of 2026. Good morning. What an extraordinary day to celebrate you. And I am so deeply grateful to President Haggerty and the Board of Trustees for the honor of sharing it with you. To the faculty, staff, families, and friends who helped make this day possible, this celebration belongs to you too, as many have said before. And today is not just a celebration of a degree, it's a celebration of every strategy you built, every support you learned to use, every hard week you moved through, and every moment that you kept going when the path was not always obvious or easy. And you made it here, and that really, really, really matters. For many years after my own college graduation, I tried to write the same short story. I never told anyone about it. It was not for publication, it was just for myself. And it always started with the same image, just an ordinary park bench near my childhood home. I was sitting on this bench across from my younger self. What would I say to her? I could never finish that story. The beginning was clear, but the middle kept changing, and there never seemed to be any ending. And only recently did I begin to understand why. Maybe I was never meant to finish that story. Maybe it was never a story, really. Maybe I was meant to carry the question with me instead. And maybe, in a way, I was preparing for moments like this, where I would have this extraordinary privilege to speaking with younger generations, standing at the edge of what's coming next, wondering who they are becoming. So today I do not come with a perfect map, sorry to say. Nobody has that. And if anyone tells you you do, be sure to check the footnotes. But I do want to share 3 things I've learned along the way. First, trust the evidence you've already built. Meaningful lives and careers are not built in one dramatic leap. They are built step by step. And sometimes the steps are small. Sometimes they're messy. Sometimes it looks different than others expect. As a systems thinker, if you want me to put together an outline, my next first step might look closer to a mind map. And sometimes that first step looks ordinary from the outside. Sending the email, jotting down an idea, asking for help, answering the phone call, starting again after a really hard week. Walking into the room, even when you're not sure you belong there yet. But over time, those steps become not only evidence, but evidence of a very important kind. Self-evidence. Evidence that you can do hard things. Evidence that you can use tools, build systems, and keep going. Graduates, today you have that evidence. You earned a college degree, you navigated complexity, you built skills, you learned to lean into a community that sees you and values you, not only for who you are, but for everything you can become. Remember this moment. You can do hard things. You just need to take the next step. Second, do not let someone else's limited view of you become your ceiling. Prior to Beacon, many of you may have experienced what it feels like to be misunderstood or underestimated or measured by a limiting standard. I know that feeling too. My start in higher education was not traditional. I started at community college. I did not have a place like Beacon, a place intentionally designed to understand and support students who think and learn differently. And I was fortunate in many ways. I had teachers, peers, family who really believed in me, and that mattered. But even with strong grades and incredible motivation, I still sometimes entered rooms where people made assumptions about what my path meant. I remember once waiting outside the room to be interviewed for a competitive scholarship. I could hear the committee talking about me before I even walked in. Of course, they did not know how loudly their voices carried. And you know, in some of what they said was extremely positive, but then I heard laughter, comments about my community college background, comments that made it very clear that they had already placed me in a category before I had a chance to speak. And I felt deflated, I felt misunderstood. And for a time, I wondered if I should stop putting myself forward for opportunities like that. But something deeper kept calling me back. A sense that systems needed to change, a sense that voices like ours needed to be heard, a sense that if rooms were not built for and by people who think and learn differently, maybe the answer was not for us to disappear. Maybe the answer was for the room to become larger. And just 2 years after that experience, several people nominated me for a very different honor, the Rhodes Scholarship. I did not believe I had a realistic chance, but I committed to the process anyway, because I knew it would stretch me. I knew it would force me to speak clearly about what I cared about. And from that commitment to process over outcome, I ended up becoming, fortunately, the first community college graduate in history to become a Rhodes Scholar. I share that not because a meaningful life requires a prize or a title. It absolutely does not. I share it because I want you to remember this. There will be people who see only one part of your story, and they think they know the whole thing. They do not. But there may also be people who see a spark in you before you fully recognize it yourself. I know for many students here today, your teachers at Beacon and families have served that role. And sometimes the work of becoming yourself is learning which voices to release and which voices to carry with you. I later saw a letter of recommendation written by my college president at the time, and it started with, some people set out to be somebody, and others set out to do something. Maureen belongs to the latter category. Sometimes the path that looks unusual from the outside is the very path that teaches you what you most need to know. Third, build from your strengths, not from someone else's template. For a long time, I thought success meant becoming more like the people who seem to move through the world with ease, more linear, more polished, and more able to fit the version of success someone else had already drawn. Skills matter, character matters, motivation matters, but there is a big difference between building skills and erasing yourself. There's a difference between learning strategies that support you and spending your life trying to become someone you're not. Because the world you're entering does not need only one kind of thinker. It needs people who notice what others miss, people who ask the question no one thought to ask, people who build what does not yet exist, and people who refuse to believe that there's only one way to learn, communicate, solve a problem, or lead. That is not a disadvantage. That is preparation. The world needs you, not a masked version, you. And that is why this place, Beacon, matters so much. And I can feel that. Just in the time I've been here, it's been such an incredible experience interacting with everyone. And we can prove something that the world urgently needs to learn. When an institution is actually designed with different minds from the start, students do not just survive. They grow, they lead, they contribute, they become more fully themselves. And this is not a niche idea, this is the future of education. And as you move forward on your path, I hope you carry at least 2 questions with you. What keeps calling you back? And where can your way of seeing become contributions? Those questions may not be answered all at once. Sometimes purpose unfolds over time. Sometimes it changes form. The deeper why may stay steady, as it has for me, even as the roles, titles, and paths change around it. And that is growth. And that is part of the life abundant. Not a life without difficulty, not a life where every path is clear, but a life where you invest yourself in what matters. Your relationships, your work, your community, your gifts, your questions, your care. And through that investment, meaning begins to take shape. You are each essential contributors to what comes next, not someday, now. And sometimes contributions begin quietly, noticing what is already working and helping it grow stronger, noticing what is not yet working, and caring enough to understand why, and staying with a better possibility until others see it too and it becomes real. So carry the tools, carry the evidence, carry the people who believed in you. Take this moment in, you made it here step by step, and now your next chapter begins the same way. I hope you stay open to unexpected spaces, be persistent, trust your internal compass, your why, and keep building a life that is not only successful, but abundant. Congratulations, Beacon College, class of 2026.